Saturday morning. Time again for a little Talkin' Tunes, brought to you by Ready Rental and GTE. I'm the lovely Bambi Diggins, back by popular demand. You like me. You really like me. Sorry. It's time to win prizes. Make your request at 759-0544 or talk to our guest. Now it's time to talk to three of the sexiest guys in radio today. They paid off my plastic surgeon. Here's John Van Wyck. You were the best, John. Greg, Sing to Me Baby Roberts. And Oscar, I Don't Take Food Stamps Osbo, and Talkin' Tunes. Thanks for joining us for Talkin' Tunes. Join us again next Saturday from 8 till 10 right here on Eagle 97.5 WEFG Whitehall, Muskegon, Grand Haven. West Michigan, we love you. Thanks to our sponsors, GTE, Ready Rental, Benton, the Muskegon JCs, and O'Leary Paints. If you'd like to be part of Talkin' Tunes, call 759-0544 or fax your info to 759-3410. Until next week, I'm the once again employed Bambi Diggins saying, I like you. I really, really like you.
Tape's rolling.
Hi, this is Randy Bachman of the Guess Who and Bachman Turn Overdrive BTO, and you're reminiscing with Oscar and Peter on WKBZ.
Well, good morning. We're talking with Randy Bachman, Bachman Turner Overdrive, and from the Guess Who. I mean, this is an honor for me. This is nice. I like this. This is good. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to hear everybody else hear you too. Okay. So you're the authentic guy. You're the real guy that was in Bachman Turner Overdrive, right?
Yes. No, there's
no other
a guy we're trying to trace down right now in Austin, Texas, who's rung up a bunch of bills saying he's me, and there's two other guys in jail who've said they're me, but you have the real me.
Okay, all right. Well, so this is a big honor because I grew up listening to the Guess Who, of course, and Bachman Turner Overdrive on A-Track,
Yeah.
So I'm Not Fragile album, one of my favorite albums. Taking Care of Business, great song. It dances. Every party has Taking Care of Business. It's kind of like a national institution, kind of like Proud Mary and the whole bit.
Yeah.
Let me ask you first. Okay, you're going to Turtle Lake. You're going to be appearing there. Is the band? It's the Randy Bachman Band, right now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, is the band going to do the optional thing, which is appear nude? Or are you guys going to be fully dressed?
No, I think my hands might be nude, that's all.
That's good, that's good. Yeah, I'm just curious, because you kind of wonder how many bands actually participate with it. Have you ever done a nudist thing like this before?
No, and I didn't realize that this was the one.
Oh, really?
You only just told me now I won't be showing up. No, I'm just kidding. A lot of these festivals, when you're on stage, you look down there, most people are nude anyways. It's just not publicized.
Yeah, that's true. You got a point there, because I never thought about
most guys have their tops off. Most girls come and
take them
off
off
the front of the stage or something. It gives you a little thrill, something to keep going in the hot sun,
Yeah, I never thought about that. You're right, because that's most concerts, the girls throw their things up there anyway. So.
Yeah, and they're shooting, water out of these big fire water hoses and stuff.
So that'd be nothing new from you guys then, right? Now, you've never played there before, then, I take it?
No.
Okay, so that'd be cool. It'd be a first. Tell me about your new album.
Well, it's only about 3 days out in Canada, and getting great reviews. The first single has got my buddy Neil Young on it with me. It's called Made in Canada, and it's doing great. It's just been out a week, and we were the topmost added AOR last week, and this week we're 60 with a bullet in Canada, and we're just preparing now for the U.S. release, which I hope will be really shortly. We've got 3 different labels kind of bidding and discussing releasing it on us, so you try to get the best deal, which is not necessarily the most money. It's the best belief. You want a belief system. You want a really good team of people. So that'll happen real soon.
Now, it will be on America when, do you know?
No, I'd say in maybe a month or two.
Okay. Any special songs we should look forward to hearing here in America?
Well, it's quite an unusual album. You know how sometimes guys do a tribute album, like Michael Bolton doing the suckiest, sickest love songs of all time. You know that last album of his?
Yeah, or Huey Lewis
Which
and the
wasn't
News.
bad, but it just, man, the whole thing was just too much to take. And
Yeah.
I thought, gee, I'd like to do a tribute album, but rather than say, here's my tribute album, all my favorite rock tracks, and have like Johnny B. Good and Brown Sugar and stuff like that you already mentioned,
Right.
I thought I had a whole bunch of original songs. And usually in describing it with my band, I'd say, play this song like Fire, like Jimi Hendrix, and play this song like Brown Sugar, because we don't read music. It's just I need to give them some sort of soundscape to copy. And when we started to do that, I thought, gee, I'll leave these songs. I'm using kind of classic riffs and grooves to set up these songs. I'm just going to leave them. So consequently, what I have is an album that's quite diverse in the fact that it represents different sound styles and grooves from the 60s, 70s, and 80s with all original material. And I've had a lot of people call me and now asking me, is this song like Whiter Shade of Pale, or is this song like Roll On Down the Highway, or is this song like Taking Care of Business, or is this one like Your Love's Like a Hurricane, like Neil Young? So truly, the song I'm doing with Neil Young is obviously a Neil Young kind of thing. We're playing like Crazy Horse. We flew down there just a month ago and did this track called Made in Canada, and he was recording Crazy Horse at the time. We didn't even take our gear. We just used Crazy Horse's gear. It was all set up in his studio.
Oh, really?
So that's kind of the fun thing about the album. It's got reminiscences of, I think it's a great radio album. You can play a song on any format in radio because it's kind of reminiscent of all the styles that have been rock radio in the last 3 decades.
Now, when you're working with Neil Young, is this for the whole album then?
No, he just played on a track.
Okay.
Called Made in Canada, which is quite incredible.
Yeah.
It's an up-tempo song, and it's about he and I growing up in Canada. And he plays lead guitar with it and sings along with me. And it's one of those rare moments where he wouldn't let me do any overdubs, and it's live off the floor. And on the end of the song, which is a 4-minute song, he tacks on about a 5.5-minute blistering, blazing, sonic, bombastic guitar solo, which I just left. And people are really tripping on it over here in Canada. They just love it.
Yeah. Well,
I had to edit it down to about 4:30 to have a radio cut, and then we put the long version on the album. But a lot of stations up here are playing the full long version.
Now, how long is the full version? You said
almost 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Woo, that's a lot of song. That'll be great. Now but you don't know when it's going to be released in America, but we'll be looking for it.
I'll bring some this weekend. If you're there and I see you, I'll give you one.
Oh, I wish I was there. I wish I was going to be there.
Or something from your station.
Yeah, well, okay, somebody from the station will be over there.
I've got
I guess
the
our
CD
sport.
Pro for radio, which is the short and long version.
Okay.
And then I'll bring you the album. You'll have the first copy of the album in America.
Oh, really?
It's only 3 days old. Here it came out this last Wednesday. Last Wednesday, last week. So it's only a few days old. So you'll have the first copy in the States.
Yeah, because I'll definitely play it on Reminiscing. That'd be kind of cool on the FM side.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what were your favorite times? Was it during the Guess Who, Bachman Turner Overdrive? What was your favorite times as a band? Is it now?
Well, man, that's like saying what's my favorite song.
I know. Kind of an open question.
There's so many favorite times that most people lived through, but I was there.
Yeah.
So, like, going to England in '67 with the early Guess Who was absolutely the most incredible time to go to England. Nobody had really broken worldwide, but they were, all famous in my mind, and it was just beginning. And, when you go to a club, you'd see The Who, The Stones, The Yardbirds, Cream, Hendrix. Everybody was just kind of starting then.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful time. Then we came back from England after that to another great time with '68 and '69 in the States, and we were able to play all the pop festivals and not just witness the flower power hippie movement, but be there playing gigs at it. So my whole life's been one wonderful movie, so to speak, where I was kind of part of the soundtrack. And it's basically rock music through the '60s, '70s, '80s, and '90s in Canada and America and the world, actually. And there's so many favorite times, like doing festivals where nobody really was a superstar yet.
Yeah.
And playing on the same show with, Zeppelin and 10 Years After and and Hendrix and Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis, and I was with either the Guess Who or BTO and Frampton and the Doobie Brothers, and man, it was an unbelievable time. It's like one big blur to me. It seems like a long weekend. It doesn't seem like 3 decades.
Yeah. Well, it had to be kind of cool though to play with you, to be with your brother too, as far as with Bachman Turner Overdrive. Now, was that a kind of a? I mean, some brothers are rivals and they have a lot of trouble, working with each other. Did you guys have trouble working with each other? Or?
Well, if you got any brothers, you know the answer to that question.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I've got 2 sons, so I know. Yeah.
Well, you can see that with your 2 sons. They kind of there's this unwritten law of how they get along and love each other because it's blood.
Yeah.
But when they disagree and one's older than the other, there's this sibling kind of thing that goes on. But like you're right. I mean, it's really something to be around. I was the oldest brother and had 2 of them in early BTO, and so it's really something to be traveling the world. It's kind of like
oh yeah, Tim and Robbie. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're a Boy Scout leader, and you've got scouts, with you who are a few years younger, and you're taking them into the wilderness or the woods, and like we'd go to Tokyo or Germany or England, and they were like totally just right out of high school. I had already been there with the Guess Who, so I was kind of like the tour guide, so to speak, and I'd kind of tell them where to go, what to do, and kind of like had been there before. But it's really fun to share it with somebody that you're that close to. Because when you go home, or when you write home, you cannot put it into words. There's some things that just have to be experienced with your whole mind and body and soul, and they were there experiencing it with me, and it was great to share it with them.
Okay, Randy, as far as now with you being with the Guess Who and being with the Bachman Turner Overdrive, now it's the Randy Bachman Band, you're going to be doing all the songs that you wrote while with the Guess Who and Bachman Turner Overdrive, or?
Yes, when people come to see me and my band, it's kind of like a trip back through the late 60s and all through the 70s. And I think my main gift that I've been given in life is as a songwriter. And so I'm really proud to play all the songs. So people, when they come out there, they'll be hearing No Sugar Tonight, These Eyes, She's Come Undone, No Time, American Woman, Laughing.
I see you wrote all the good ones.
Let It Ride, Taking Care of Business, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, Hey You, Taking Care, I already said the...
no, not Fragile, did you write that
Looking
one?
Out for Number One, I mean, they're just... And then I do some stuff for my new album, so it's kind of a really great mixture of new and old stuff. And my new band plays it with real verve and energy, and they sound very close. I think we sound closer to the original records than some of the bands that are out there now touring as the Guess Who and maybe as BTO.
Yeah, it's good you got a band together, because I mean, there's actually people out there like Casey from the Sunshine Band, actually going out there doing stuff with karaoke. I mean, that's kind of sad, So
no, my band really rocks.
That's great. That's great. The question I want to ask you now, I was told something that when you guys first started touring as Bachman Turner Overdrive, you were just known as Bachman Turner.
Yes.
You added the overdrive on. What made you add the overdrive?
Well, we wanted a name, and the record label suggested I use my name because it was recognizable from being, under the Guess Who songs and in the Guess Who. Right. And there were 3 Bachmans and a Turner, so we called ourselves Bachman Turner. But that was the era of Fields and Cross and Brewer and Shipley, which were 2 guys that showed up with a mandolin and a flute, and the other 2 showed up with acoustic guitars and played what in those days were called coffee houses, these little places that held 150 or 180 people with little round tables, and they sipped coffee out of these little tiny vessels. I don't know what they're called, little mugs. And so we would be booked in these things, and we'd be setting up, and the guy'd say, "What's all this gear?" And he'd think we were supposed to be there with 2 acoustic guitars. He thought it was 2 guys, Bachman and a Turner.
Yeah.
And I'd even say to him, "This is not Brewer and Shipley or Seals and Cross." And we'd set up and just blast, and would actually be blowing these little vessels, these little cups off the table. And after being fired 3 or 4 times in a row, our record label said, "You need something to show that you're playing this heavy music, because everybody thinks you're a folk act." And we were in, I think, Windsor, Ontario, or Detroit. It's like twin cities there on the border.
Right.
And we were crossing, so I'm not sure which side of the border it was on, but we went into a truck stop. Actually, I think it was in Detroit. And we were paying our bill. It was late at night, 2 or 3 in the morning, and we had done a gig, and we were driving to the next gig. And in this truck stop, I saw a trucker's magazine called Overdrive right at the cash register, and I picked it up and looked at it and said, "This is really cool." And the book fell open at the middle, like where there's normally like a Playboy centerfold, and it was a big centerfold, and it was a guy in his truck showing the chrome wheels and leopard skin inside and his stereo, and he had a little television set and everything. I thought, well, this name, Overdrive, is really cool. This is a cool book. And I said, this would be a great title for an album. And Turner looked at me and said, no, it's a great title for our band.
Okay.
And I called the label the next day, and I wrote this down on a napkin. You know those tall napkins? They're in those tall chrome things that are in the restaurants.
Yeah.
And I wrote down Bachman, and under it I wrote down Turner, and under that I wrote down Overdrive. Because there wasn't room to turn the napkin sideways on this little counter with a cash register and all the books. So I phoned the label the next morning and said, I've got a name. It's great. It tells you what the music's like. It's Overdrive. So we're going to be called Bachman Turner Overdrive. And they said, that's the longest name in show business. Nobody will ever remember it. It's ridiculous. And I said, well, how about BTO? Because it was right there, one under the other on this napkin. And they said, well, that's pretty good. I said, well, we want to use both. They said, well, as long as you've got a short form named initials, because then Chicago was CTA, Chicago Transit Authority. They were calling Crosby, Stills & Nash CSNN.
Right.
So when I came in with BTO, they said that's absolutely perfect. So we put out our first album with BTO, Bachman Turner Overdrive, written in long form around it. Then Overdrive gear, and in the middle we put BTO, and suddenly it became a worldwide recognizable logo. So we were very fortunate that all those things fell into place.
You know, I remember that too. On some of the albums, you had like big gears on the albums and stuff with the BTO on there.
Right, that was our first album. That really set up kind of the gear. We got a Ferrari overdrive gear and an overdrive gear from some big cement truck, and they were actual gears that we had. And we just laid them down and sprayed them silver, on a silver background, and we carved a B and a T and an O out of wood.
Oh, yeah?
And laid it all down and had it photographed with the proper lighting. It looked like the whole thing was forged out of this, incredible metal and stuff.
Oh, yeah, it fooled me, that's for sure. Yeah, I remember that. Of course, then again, when I had it, was on an 8-track, so it was kind of small. But, the incredible days of the 8-tracks, too. So, anyway, I really appreciate talking to you. Is there anything special you want to tell us? I mean, you told us about your album. You're going to be doing, of course, you said all the big hits that you'll be doing as far as with Bachman Turner Overdrive and the Guess Who. What do you think the people should expect besides the band not being nude at the Turtle Lake concert?
I think we're doing probably about a 75-minute set, and I could honestly say that it's truly for us. It's a total amount of fun, and to see the people's reaction to all of these songs. And I'm a very proud songwriter. These are like my children. So for me to play these songs and the people react to them, it's a wonderful experience. That's why I still enjoy going out and playing. My band really, really rocks, and they're going to have an unbelievable rock and time. The whole show looks like a really great afternoon and evening. It looks like a really good, fun time. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're going to be there with the Marshall Tucker Band and a few others. Yeah, it's going to be great.
I hope I'll be seeing a lot of old friends on that show.
Yeah, I'm sure you will, and I wish I could be there. I wish I could be there. Well, thank you, sir, very much for talking with me.
Thank you, and I'll bring you some copies of the album.
It's a big honor for me, because like I said, I was a big Guess Who fan and an even larger Bachman Turner Overdrive fan. So,
well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and great success with your new album.
Okay, thanks.